Hello and welcome to the last community meeting of the year for 2022. For the StackRox community meeting, I'm Michael Foster, community co-chair. I forget what the term is that we're using, Matthias. And I'm joined by my fellow co-chair,
Hi, I'm
Matthias.
Matthias Meidinger. I'm the other co-chair and also one of the developers for ACS.
Mhm. And so today we got a quick little breakdown for you. 3.73 is out, so we want to talk about those release notes. We're going to publish a public roadmap coming out soon. So all the PMs came together and discussed their priorities for 2023. So look forward to checking that out. And then we want to just open the floor to questions. It doesn't have to be here. It could be on YouTube, could be in the Slack channel as well. And the last bit, RoxStar of the month. If you're watching this and you're part of the Slack channel and you watch the video come out, email mfoster@redhat.com within 3 days of this posting, and I'll send you some StackRox gear. Sound good? Awesome. All right, Matthias, I think we should kick it off with 3.73. I see in the major changes of note, we have the field trial announcement first. I feel like I'll take that one.
Sure, please
Sure.
go ahead.
So for those who are paying attention to advanced cluster security, we have a cloud service early access program available for customers, for Red Hat customers. This will make installation, operation, configuration a lot easier, as it's a simple login, start central, and then you have to bring your secured cluster nodes online. And so as clusters come up, as you move clusters away, it's a lot easier to manage. You don't have to worry about having an operator checking into the latest. There'll be faster releases, more feature updates in the coming year. So we have a bunch of customers that are already getting onboarded. I'm part of that onboarding service, and we'll look forward to telling you when that's going to GA sometime next year. Any questions, just feel free to ping in the Slack. I'll probably post some resources after this goes live as well for people who are interested. And speaking of which, I think now we get into the feature heavy stuff. Matthias, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. So what I want to share with you actually today is we have two exciting technology previews that are also introduced with 73. So not only are we basically launching more or less a cloud service, but also doing some rather deep changes to our infrastructure, which is one of them is a technology preview, which means it is there for you to evaluate, which means please do share your feedback with us. But please keep in mind it's a technology preview, so things can change and also things might break. We take the greatest care that this doesn't happen, but also, of course, we rely a little bit on testing. That's why we release it as a technology preview. So what do we have? One of them is PostgreSQL. So we actually moved to PostgreSQL, which means you can hopefully expect a little bit better performance for bigger deployments. It also means backups and restoring of backups gets a little bit easier because it's a little bit more standardized. And finally, though this is not an officially supported way from or path from us, as far as I'm aware of yet, you can also bring your own. So you're not necessarily depending on us providing you a database anymore. You could also roll your own, though I'm not entirely aware of how the support path for that looks currently. But I guess that will also be determined when the feature leaves technology preview.
Gotcha. And is that going to be the path moving forward for the open source
Yes.
project
So
as well?
basically, yeah. So this is all of the features that we are introducing right now are in upstream and downstream. So these are equally in features for open source and closed source, or open source and the commercial product.
Awesome.
Which also brings us to the next point, a feature that I actually co-developed, which is the build-time Kubernetes network policy generator, which is also a technology preview. We have talked about this in a little bit under a different name some time ago, because we already released that one. We released something similar as a developer preview, which is you can take your deployment YAML or your deployment information and actually run it through RoxStar to let it generate network policies for you. And the interesting thing about these is so these are you could or should treat these as recommendations in my point of view. So the idea is you have a big deployment, you don't know where to start, and this provides you a great starting point because it gives you a recommendation based on what your actual deployment looks like. So it is not a set of best practices, but it really is a static analysis of your deployments. So take it, run it against them, see what network policies you get, and you can always check them in or even review them. So again, also there, as it is a technology preview, feel free to actually let us know how you like it, if there is something you would like to have changed, or basically if it doesn't work at all. That's also interesting for us, obviously.
Yeah, luckily, I mean, I've tested it out. It's worked very well for me. We've always had the ability to generate network policies in the network graph, but I think doing it at the command line, doing it, when you're just generating it GitHub, or you have the manifests already there, and you want to add network policies and do it asynchronously, so you don't have to go to like an ops team to do it. You can just do it yourself. I think that's awesome, and I believe the plan is to possibly in the future be able to configure certain ports and protocol policy in ACS so that when you generate it, you're not going to be tripping over other network policies that have been generated from other deployments. So I think that's future looking, and hopefully in 2023 that's on the roadmap. So stay tuned for that one.
Definitely stay tuned for the roadmap video, because that's going to be also having some interesting stuff.
It says here additional feature enhancements and bug fixes, as well as improved vulnerability management dashboard for ACS CS users. From the vulnerability management dashboards, if you dive into the release notes, which we'll post in the Slack channel as well. I know we already did it, but we'll do it again when we post the video. You can see that there's groupings for node vulnerabilities. What is it? I forget the three. It's node CVEs, image CVEs, and platform CVEs. So you're separating the vulnerabilities in different categories. This will help you to identify what is your responsibility and what is Red Hat's. So for example, if you're on Kubernetes, Google, Red Hat, OpenShift, it's a platform CVE or vulnerability and it's low impact. That's our responsibility. You can triage and you'll know exactly who you want to reach out to. If it's an image vulnerability, that's most likely on you, right? On your application and what you're running. And if it's a node one, and since we have RHEL 9 scanning and things like that have been released, you'll be able to see what's associated with the node as well. Matthias, did I miss anything there?
Not for that. There are definitely some other changes I would definitely want to talk about, which are keep in mind, so our product uses GraphQL to actually provide a lot of information to the front end. Please keep in mind that GraphQL is not the officially supported API yet, which means please use the REST API as much as possible, because we just introduced in this release some breaking changes to the way our GraphQL API is built. So that said, if you are querying the GraphQL and relying on functionality of that, consider moving to the REST API, and also be mindful when upgrading to 73, because that might break your automation. But in actual, maybe other interesting but better news is that we also continuously optimize the security context constraints that our different parts of the platform actually use. Which means, for example, a scanner basically doesn't use any UID anymore, but uses a more restricted one. And in that wake, we also changed the service account for Central a little bit to keep up with the changes that we do to the product. So these are notable changes. They are unlikely to break anything on your side, but I wanted to be heard that we keep continuously optimizing and changing the way our platform is actually secured itself and what rights it has or permissions it has.
Yeah, very important, especially as Kubernetes keeps changing as well. and different things like the security profile operator, I think, got released too by Red Hat, which is an open source project. So different projects all coming in. Very cool. And that's all in the release notes, right, Matthias?
Yes. And awesome. For the final important change that might be interesting for maybe more of the offline users is we will, in the upcoming 74 release, we will remove the in-product documentation. There is a lot of reasoning behind that. It's been a very interesting conversation that we had in engineering about this, but the end result is we will be removing in-product documentation. So if you are running ACS or StackRox for that matter completely offline, be mindful that the in-product docs will vanish with the next release.
Mm-hmm. So they will be always publicly available and viewed, but they will not be in the product. I mean, is the thought about redundancy just reducing?
Yeah, so so the problem is actually to our documentation is currently or needs to be held in two different formats. One for the official documentation on the webpage, and one for the complete container that is actually providing the docs in the product. And the problem for us is simply the container, the overhead to actually managing that container and also keeping that container safe, because it is a possible entryway into the product, is a lot to do. And we think it is a better reasoning, or it is a better way of securing our product to actually cut out the pieces that, as far as we are aware of, most customers maybe don't use that much. That's the trade-off that we want to make, which is if there is a thing that a customer can achieve otherwise and makes the platform more secure, let's try to make the platform more secure.
100%. Yeah, might as well cut down on anything that's redundant and opens up another attack vector. So awesome. That's look in 3.74, I believe, is when the documentation will change. Cool.
Correct.
So stay tuned. Early next year, in the first quarter, you'll see 3.74 get released, then we'll be back. Until then, we look forward to a what's next. Hosted docs can also, Oscar is posting in here. Hosted docs can also be maintained on the fly, FYI. There you go. Like I said, questions in Slack channel, the roadmap recording, the what's next recording will all get posted before the holidays. So check that out. And I'll post information about the early access program if anybody's interested in trying out ACS for free, ACS cloud service for free. All we ask is for feedback. So that's pretty awesome. Matthias, anything else you want to tell the RoxStars before we sign off?
Maybe keep in mind that most engineers at Red Hat, which also includes our project, will be off for Christmas. So basically, starting from mid-end of next week until the beginning of the new year, most of the engineers will most likely be off. So keep that in mind when you open issues, or if you're waiting on an answer from one of us, it might take a little bit longer.
Awesome. All right, thanks for the last community meeting of the year. We look forward to seeing you in the second Tuesday of the new year, 2023. I'm Mike Foster, and I'm joined by my fellow RoxStar.
Hi, I'm Matthias Weidinger, and I wish you all great holidays. Have a great start in the new year, and see you in 2023.
Take care.